Hello, my name is Shreya, and welcome to Mindful Minutes, your calm space for big ideas. In today's video, we are taking a soothing journey through the psychology of money, breaking down its core concepts in a way that's easy, enjoyable, and enlightening. Have you ever wondered why some people with average incomes retire rich while others with high incomes stay broke? It's not always about how much money you make, it's about how you think about money. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most powerful personal finance books of our time, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This isn't a book about formulas or stock tips, it's about human behavior, emotions, decisions, and the strange way we all think about money. So get comfortable, grab a coffee, and let's explore the psychology behind our financial lives. So, the chapter one is No One's Crazy. We all make financial decisions based on our own unique experiences. Someone who grew up during a recession may always be cautious with money. Another person raised during a booming economy might take over more risk. The key points: people aren't crazy, they are just shaped by their life experiences. We judge others too quickly without realizing they are making choices based on a different world than ours. Everyone's relationship with money is personal and emotional, not logical. Second chapter: Luck and Risk. Bill Gates went to one of the only high schools in America that had a computer in the 1970s. That's luck. Many of his equally smart peers never had the chance. The lesson here is never judge success or failure without considering luck and risk. Success is not always due to hard work alone, and failure doesn't always mean mistakes. When managing money, acknowledge the role of both factors and never base your entire financial future on the outcome of a few lucky or unlucky events. Third chapter: Never Enough. Imagine this: a hedge fund manager is worth hundreds of millions, but he still risks it all trying to make even more and loses everything. Why? Because he didn't know what enough meant. There's nothing wrong with ambition, but knowing when to stop is powerful. Greed can destroy everything you have built. Remember, enough is not too little. It's realizing that the goal past doesn't have to keep moving. Fourth chapter: Compounding is magic. Warren Buffett is one of the richest people ever, not just because he's a good investor, but because he's been investing since he was 10 years old. More than 90% of his wealth came after his 60th birthday. Compounding is like planting a tree. You won't see results immediately, but decades later, it will have grown massively. So start early, be patient, let time do the heavy lifting. Fifth chapter: Getting Wealthy versus Staying Wealthy. Getting rich and staying rich are two different skills. Getting rich requires taking risk, being bold, and spotting opportunities. But staying rich requires humility, caution, and fear of losing it all. What keeps people wealthy? Frugality, a long term mindset, respect for uncertainty, and a healthy fear of going broke. As Morgan says, good investing is not about making good decisions, it's about consistently not screwing up. Sixth chapter: Tails drive everything. In investing and in life, a small number of events drive the majority of results. Out of 30 years of investments, just a few outliers year made most of the gains. This is called the tail effect. So don't worry about being right all the time. Focus on being in the game long enough for those tail events to work in your favor. Seventh chapter: Freedom is the ultimate goal. What's the highest form of wealth? Freedom. The ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. Money is not just for luxury or status. The most valuable things it buys is control over your time. If you are constantly trading time for money or feel trapped by your lifestyle, it's time to reevaluate. Eighth chapter: Save money always. Saving money isn't just about buying something later, it's about building flexibility, independence, and peace of mind. Even if you don't have a specific goal, save anyway. Why? Because savings is the gap between your ego and your income. The smaller your ego, the more you can save. Savings give you options, and in an uncertain world, options are everything. Ninth chapter. Reasonable is greater than rational. We like to think we are logical with money, but we are really just trying to feel good. You must invest in a home not because it's the smartest choice, but because it feels secure, and that's okay. Don't aim for perfect, aim for reasonable. Make decisions that make sense for you, not just what the spreadsheet says. 10th chapter. You will change. What you value today won't be what you value 20 years from now. We often make long term financial plans, assuming our current preferences will stay the same. But people change, goals change, life surprises us. So keep your financial strategy flexible, leave room to grow, adjust, and evolve. 11th chapter. Avoid extremes. You don't need to live like a monk or spend like a billionaire. The best financial life lies in moderation. Save enough to be secure, but spend enough to enjoy your life. Balance is sustainable, extremes are not. 12th chapter. Wealth is what you don't see. Someone driving a Lamborghini might be rich, or they might be in debt. Real wealth is invisible. It's the money you don't spend, the assets quietly growing in the background. Stop measuring success by what people flaunt. True wealth is freedom, security, and peace of mind, not flashy stuff. 30th chapter. Be kind to your future self. Every financial choice you make today is a gift or a burden for future self. Do you want to be stressed and broke in 10 years or calm and confident? Think long term. Make decisions today that your future self will thank you for. 14th chapter. You are not alone. Everyone struggles. Even experts make dumb mistakes with money. It's easy to feel ashamed when we make financial errors, but money is emotional, not mechanical. We are all human. The goal isn't perfection, it's a progress. Learn, adapt, and keep moving forward. 15th chapter. Keep it simple. Most of the best financial strategies are boring. Spend less than you earn, save consistently, invest for the long term, stay calm during market crashes. But we often chase complexity because it sounds smarter. Don't overthink it. Simple equals to effective. Conclusion. What this book teaches us. In the end, the psychology of money teaches us the mastering money is not about knowledge, it is about behavior. You don't need to be a math genius, you just need patience, humility, and emotional intelligence. Control your emotion, respect time, live below your means, save, and remember money is a tool for freedom, not a measure of your worth. If you find this summary valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into life changing books. Let me know in the comments what's your personal philosophy about money and which book should I summarize next. Stay wise, stay simple, and let money work for you, not the other way around.